I call the Select Board meeting to order tonight, Tuesday, March 12th at 7:01 p.m. Motion to open the meeting.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You have to do this by roll call vote.
Okay. Mr. Gito,
Aye.
Vice Chair Cavey,
Aye.
Mr. McCrisky,
Aye.
Mr. Carrara, Scott, are you there? Are you having technical difficulties?
Yeah, I don't see him. He was here a minute ago.
Yes. I'll send him a quick text message. Okay. So I just sent him a quick text message. Let's give him, allow maybe one more minute. I would hate to start the presentation. Well, what we could do is, I would say I'm here with roll call. And then we could, we still have a quorum and the motion to open the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr.
Okay, we have to do this by roll call.
Okay.
All the voting has to be done by roll call over the
Vice
internet.
Chair Cavey,
Yes.
Mr. Gito,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Mr. Carrara, still not on.
I'm gonna
Roll
try to
call,
call him.
please. Okay. Roll call. Mr. Gito,
I'm here.
Vice Chair Cavey,
Here.
Mr. McCrisky. Can you use, he waved his hand, can I use him? Okay, he's on the phone calling Mr. Carrara, and I am here. I ask all to stand if you're able to salute our flag. If Vice Chair Cavey, if you don't have a flag, I have a small one. But if you care.
Yeah, I can pull it. Just take 1 second.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Just give me one moment.
Thank you so much for doing this, Steve.
Okay, it's coming up.
All right. I ask all to stand if you are able to salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, which extends the Governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, GLC 30A, Section 20, until March 31st, 2025, this meeting will be conducted both virtually and via Google Meets. The meeting will be recorded by SMAC Cable Television and broadcast live and may be live streamed at www.stoughtontv.org. A recording of the meeting, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceeding will be posted on the town's website and or SMAC as soon as possible after the meeting if the live broadcast or live streaming is unsuccessful. Times are approximate and items may be taken out of order at the chair's discretion. Tonight, we only have one agenda item, and for something of this level of importance, I would like to have all board members present if it's doable. So I'm waiting for Mr. McCrisky to tell us if he reached Mr. Carrara. I know I did send him a text and he hasn't responded.
And Madam Chair, I did speak with Scott an hour ago, and he is planning to attend.
Thank you. Is that Bob Mullen?
This is Tom Coulter.
Oh, hi, Tom. Well, Scott was online.
Oh, he was?
Yes, as right before we started the meeting, and then somehow he dropped off. So Joe was calling him. I know I sent him a text. Let's give him one more minute before we start, please.
Sure.
Hello, Scott.
Yeah,
Oh, hi. We lost you for a second. Are you planning to rejoin?
I would rejoin, but somebody pushed me out. It said, you have been taken out. It came across the screen. It says, you have been removed from this, and it just went black. And now I'm trying to shut the thing off and do what Joe said, but I can't even get it to shut down now.
Oh my gosh. Did you want to call into the meeting?
No.
Okay. So we will,
Go that way.
so
Go ahead and go.
well, we can suspend the meeting for 5 minutes to give you an opportunity to, to jumpstart your computer if you,
I mean, usually this thing shuts down right away, and I have no idea why this won't shut down. All right, give me 5 minutes. I'll see what I can do.
okay, thank you very much. Bye.
All right, Deborah.
It's Attorney Winter's fault.
So we're going to suspend the meeting for about 5 minutes, and Scott believes that will give him enough time to reboot his computer. So it's now 7:09.
Deborah, should we disconnect and call back in? Or would you like us to stay on?
Please stay on,
You got it.
because then it might be easier just to
Sure.
as soon as we see Scott, then I can call the meeting back to order. And remember that we're still recording, but Smack will, I guess, edit this section out since the meeting is suspended.
Sure.
Madam Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Mr. McCrisky. I'm right here.
Can anybody see Scott on the meeting? He said he got a message that said he's been removed.
I saw him before we called the meeting to order, and I did not see that message.
Okay.
Luke, did you happen to see it?
All right. Yeah, he's having I've got him on the other line.
No,
I
I didn't.
suppose
I
I
didn't see any message. No.
speakerphone. And he can join the meeting.
I'm not doing it that way, Joe. Don't stretch it out. I'd rather walk away. I'm tired of this. We should have just did it.
Okay, well. Is Scott suggesting that we move on? Is that what I heard?
Okay, now Mr. McCrisky is on mute, so I can't hear. Joe, you're on mute.
Yeah, Scott, just his phone just went dead. He's having nothing but problems with the computer. He said it's just acting up. So I don't know what you want to do. If you want, you guys, I'll keep mine on mute so you don't hear me, and I'll try to walk him through it, and you can at least get this stuff and he can hear it. But I thought I'd just keep him on my phone, keep it on speakerphone, but he didn't want to do that. He was upset. So I'll try that one more time so at least he can come in just on voice. I can put him on. I'll put him on my phone. And he can come in that way, at least have his vote counted. Is that acceptable to everybody? Okay?
I would, as long as he's okay with that
Okay.
approach.
Okay. Let me drop down a minute and I'll return.
Alrighty.
Hello,
Hello?
Deborah, can you hear me?
Yes, who is that?
Because this is Tom. I actually lost connection, so I just called back in.
Oh, yes. Tom, you're the one that ends in 2-5. Okay, I remember that. So while you were away, Tom, just to bring you up to speed, McCrisky has Scott on his telephone, and he's going to see if it's acceptable for Scott just to hear what we're saying, and then we can
Right.
take a vote that way.
You got it. I heard that part. I've been Scott before, frustrated with trying to connect.
Right, he has technical difficulties from a phone perspective and computer, so it's a lot going on for him. So we're waiting for McCrisky to come back and give us the update.
Sure, no problem. Can I just put this on speaker? That's what we pushed before. Deb, let me test one more time. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you, yes.
Okay. That's how I lost you before. I put you on speaker and it disconnected me. So I just put you on speaker again. I'm glad I can hear you.
Okay, thank you for testing. Everyone, the meeting is still suspended. Those in the audience, We're waiting for feedback from McCrisky about Mr. Carrara's technical issue.
Deborah, is Brian Winter on?
Yes, I'm looking at Attorney Winter now. Yes. Oh, I guess he could have answered for himself, huh?
Okay, I'm back.
Well, hello there.
All right, Scott will not be on the meeting. The laptop he has will not restart. And it's got an internal battery. So just unplugging it wasn't enough. And I tried to keep him on my cell phone so that he could engage in the meeting that way. But I can't connect the cell phone to a microphone. So the audio coming out of the speaker, he said he couldn't hear it clear. It was muffled. So there's just no way that he can do it. I've tried every way I can do it to get him to be engaged in it. But the computer that he has is froze. It won't even allow him to do a hard reset, which I tried to walk him through the hard reset, and it still wouldn't shut down. He sees everything on the screen, but he said it come up with a message that he was removed, and that could be because it was disconnected internally for some reason. Whatever, I don't know, but I tried everything I could do. He said go along without him, and we'll deal with trying to get a new computer or something better for him tomorrow.
All righty. Thank you for that update.
Good effort, Joe.
Hey, gotta try.
Okay. The agenda for tonight is only one item, and that is to consider calling a special town meeting during the annual town meeting and to open a special town meeting warrant for the same. Votes may be taken. And with that said, Mr. Coulter, please provide us
Thank you.
background and
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, much of the members, happy to do so. I received a call from TJ Recupero middle of last week asking to meet the next morning, and Mr. Gito and I met with TJ and another representatives from the building committee. And Brian Winter is on the phone, and we had asked Brian Winter to join us in that meeting as well, given that it was a Thursday, and in order to meet their request, we needed to post that evening. So we met with them right away, and their request is really quite urgent and quite simple. They need this meeting in order to meet the school building authority guidelines for them to continue to engage in this funding process. So Mr. Gito and I and Mr. Winter listened closely to them. We agreed to schedule this meeting and see what the will of the board is. So with that, Madam Chair, I think it would be better explained by Brian Winter if we turn it over to him and let him explain both the calendar and the sense of urgency that the committee has. So with that, through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to turn it over to Brian.
Attorney Winter. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Coulter.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Coulter, for the introduction. So I was part of that meeting, and I won't go into sort of the substance of the request. I'll leave that to the school building committee and Attorney Recupero, et cetera, when the time arrives for that presentation. But what you have right now is essentially a procedural act that needs to be taken in accordance with the charter. They've asked, as you heard, for a special town meeting to be called, to be held within the annual, and they have some, time-sensitive matters that they need to attend to, which would require a town meeting vote. Since the annual town meeting warrant has already been closed and is being circulated through the various standing committees now, adding their proposed matter to that article is not possible. So the alternative that they presented us with was opening a special town meeting within the annual, which is very possible. That being said, there's a very particular timeline that's set forth in your charter. Under section C-1, it's subparagraph B, there are a couple of requirements that need to be met. One is that the warrant needs to remain open for 7 days, and that the town meeting can't be held for 42 days after it's closed. So that gives a total of 49 days, considering your town meeting opens on May 6th, the first Monday of May. That doesn't leave us much time. And so this meeting had to be scheduled as soon as possible so that if the board is inclined to vote in the affirmative and call for the special town meeting, there's actually time on the clock for it to occur concurrently with the annual. So just doing, sort of a basic calculation of the 49 days from tonight, 7 days is for the warrant to stay open. If the board does choose to open it tonight, that would bring us to next Tuesday. 42 days from that would bring us, just slightly before town meeting. So there is enough time. That brings us technically to May 1. So there is enough time for this to happen under the charter. And it could potentially occur on any of the nights of town meeting. But one of the things I might suggest you consider is to schedule it for the first night, because it could be adjourned to another night. But obviously you can't prepone it. You couldn't advance it if you scheduled it for a later night. So there's two actions essentially that the board needs to take tonight. It needs to call for a special town meeting. That's what the charter requires. So you would need to call for it and establish a date. So that's item number one. And item number two is to open the warrant for that special town meeting, with a warrant to be held open for a minimum of 7 days, which if it's a 7-day period, that would take us till next Tuesday. So those are the two action items procedurally. And now, of course, we don't have an article. We don't have a substantive item to consider tonight. So all this is a procedural vote. And my expectation would be that you would be provided with the special town meeting warrant article, the backup materials, and anything else you might need from the building committee in order to consider whether or not to then insert that article at your next meeting. So that's for another night, not for tonight. Tonight is just a procedural vote. So I have drafted a motion for your consideration, and I'm happy to share that with you when the time is appropriate to do so. But let me just stop right there and see if anyone has any questions, or if I've confused everybody.
Yes, Attorney Winter, I do have a question. Thank you. Oh, that's Mr. KV raised his hand. What, I guess straightforward, has the MSBA approved any funding, any money for this project? I know we are scheduled to have the presentation at our next meeting, but at this point in time, has anything been approved by MSBA in this regarding the money? Please.
So I don't think I'm in a position to answer that.
Okay.
I don't know if Town Manager Coulter might have some information on that, but I don't want to speculate as to where the Standing Building Committee is with their process with the MSBA. So my preference would be to have them provide that information to you in their presentation rather than me getting ahead of them.
Thank you very much.
And Deborah, I'm certain that we are going to get a budget and a calendar on Tuesday night, a week from tonight, when they make that presentation. I don't know if they've received any funding. I do know that what we're contemplating here this evening is key to them being on the track for funding. So again, I can't answer that correctly right now either, but we'll get that information next Tuesday night.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coulter. Vice Chair Cavey. You're on mute, Mr. Vice Chair Cavey.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Do we have maybe just a high level understanding of why this is urgent and why we didn't meet the earlier town meeting deadline? If the answer is no, or that's maybe maybe for the next meeting, I'm fine with that too. There might be people who are better equipped to answer that question at a future meeting. But I just wanted to have, if we happen to have sort of an idea of why the urgency.
We can tell you, Mr. Kennedy, what they told us.
Yeah.
They started the meeting off with an apology. They acknowledged that they should have notified us and made this request sooner. They very sincerely apologize for that planning lack thereof has caused this type of urgency on by the select board. So they acknowledged that they were remiss in scheduling this earlier, and we will have more information Tuesday night as to why such a long-term process became such a short-term crisis. But they sincerely apologize for it.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know if there was something that came up externally that precipitated this. But yeah, just that's all reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cavey. Mr. Gito, do you have any questions or comments?
My comment is that the opportunity to get funding is contingent on town meeting approving the opportunity to have a vote on the schools getting money from debt exclusion, and the town voting to agree to that. And if we don't have the special town meeting, then we can't proceed with the process, and we will not be able to get funding from the state, and we'll start the process again, which means starting from the beginning and going through all of the options and going back to MSBA to see whether or not we will be on the list. So it's pretty imperative that we at least bring it to town meeting and do that in the time period that Brian Winter explained.
Thank you, Mr. Gito. Mr. McCrisky, did you have any questions or comments? While we're waiting for Mr. McCrisky, did they explore what the impact would be if we had the special town meeting at another date? And let's go out as far as November timeframe, but anytime after our annual town meeting to when we typically have a special.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
Madam Chair, this is Tom.
Oh,
If I
Tom.
may, I think Lou is 100% correct. What they expressed to us is if they're not successful in meeting this calendar schedule they've laid out with respect to the special within the end, have follow-up early summer vote by the town, then they will be pushed back into another full year cycle by NSBA. So if we waited till the fall, then it would clearly put us back into the following year application, back in line all over again. And again, I want to be clear. They felt bad about that, but that is where we are. We will be pushed back a full year cycle if we don't act quickly.
Madam Chair, if I could add one more item,
Yes.
and that is that when the high school project was being proposed, it was proposed through the same process, a special town meeting within the annual, and so this is not different from that. It's something that I would say we have known for well over a decade. I've been was on the Facilities Master Plan Committee, and this was a project that was known to be a problem even prior to the high school's issue. And there are a lot of people that are interested in at least a decision on this project. I mean, the people in Precinct 3, especially around the South School, would be very unhappy if this doesn't at least get a hearing before the town meeting.
Looks like Mr. McCrisky is having some technical issues as well. Yeah, we have some issues. Okay. It looks like we lost Mr. McCrisky. Let me see if I can. So this is a procedural. Oh, I'm getting an echo. But this is only for procedure tonight. So speculating for our next select board meeting when they present the information to us, like take us on a virtual tour, let's say the proposed site, talk a little bit about the cost associated. If any of that we disagree with, how is that going to impact moving forward now that we have, if we vote in favor of those two items? One, set a date for a special town meeting within the annual, and then open the warrant. How is all of that impacted? What's the message for that?
Yeah, Madam Chair, may I chime in on that with your permission?
Yes, Attorney Winter, yes.
And I'm only going to touch upon the substantive part of it, because obviously you can choose to insert an article and you can choose not to. And so I won't get into the substance of it, because I imagine you're going to have a very robust discussion of that at the next meeting. But as a procedural matter, if you call for the special town meeting to be scheduled and you open the warrant, and at the end of this process, there are no articles and it's an empty warrant, you don't insert anything, then that gets essentially nullified. There wouldn't be a special town meeting. And so it'd be only if you're persuaded after the next meeting to insert an article to put in front of the town meeting representative voters, that we would even have a special town meeting. So as you heard, the building committee is appreciative of kind of the request here, the burden they've placed on you and the timing of all of this. And so I believe in our conversation, it was clear to them, and they knew already that the board would have a lot of questions, considering what's being asked of you. And so I expect that they'll be prepared to answer all the questions you've asked tonight and many, many more. And so I think you're going to have a full presentation designed to explain to you the urgency and why this article should be inserted by this board and placed in front of the voters at the May annual town meeting. So procedurally, your vote tonight is essentially just that, a procedural placeholder. Because if we don't take the vote tonight, or the board doesn't take the vote tonight in the affirmative.
I'll get a cab.
Hello, whose telephone number ends in 70?
I just muted that number.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Attorney Winter.
Just to finish my thought, if the board doesn't vote in the affirmative to call for the meeting and open the warrant, then everything that comes after this is a moot point, because there is no vehicle to advance it any longer. And so the building committee would have to wait another cycle and then try to put it on, a future town meeting warrant. And so this is just the sort of catalyst, the initiative, just to get that process started. And I think after that, all the meat, all the substance is what will be discussed at the next meeting.
Thank you very much, Attorney Winter.
Madam Chair, if I might just clarify one point that Mr. Winter, Attorney Winter, mention, and that is that if this issue is not heard, then it's not a case of still being in the queue. It's starting the process over to see whether or not the town is going to be in the queue the next time around to be eligible to get money from the state. So it's imperative that we move ahead, at least to procedurally get it addressed.
Is that clear with us?
Yeah, Mr. McCrisky?
I didn't, I just dropped off there. I just wanted to let all know that Mr. Carrara is joining us. He's on my speakerphone for my phone. And we're doing the old fashioned way. My phone's up against the speaker so he can hear. And,
Okay.
And then when he talks, I will put my microphone in the phone so that he can have his vote recorded.
Well, thank you so much for that. So now, with that said, can Attorney Winter, I hate to put you on the spot, but can you summarize the importance of why we need this procedure tonight for the benefit of Mr. Carrara so he can actually vote tonight, and we want him to be completely informed, full informed?
Sure. And I'll try to break it down just to 2 points. One is there can't be a special town meeting unless the select board calls for it. So the select board needs to vote to call a special town meeting, prescribe a date, and open the warrant. So there is no special town meeting without that. The reason why the board is being asked, sort of with such haste in order to schedule a special town meeting within the annual is because of the cycle for the MSBA and the position the Standing Building Committee is in order to meet that calendar. The town meeting needs to take a vote, and if the vote is in the affirmative to authorize the project funding to be approved and the project to go forward, then that very likely will have to go to the voters on a ballot question. And for all that to happen in this grant cycle and to maintain the town's position on that list, it has to happen now. And so if it's delayed past May, that means it would be a fall town meeting at the earliest, which means the ballot question wouldn't reach the voters until much later after that, which means we would drop off the list for the MSBA, and who knows what happens after that. And so it jeopardizes a great deal of all the hard work that they've put into it. And so that's why the board is being asked to take this vote tonight to keep that process on track.
That was a
Madam Chair, if I may add to that,
Yes, Mr.
beyond the process, having spoken to most of the members one-on-one, there is a concern about the rush process as to whether individual members or the board as a body wish to endorse the project. Both Mr. Winter, myself, and Mr. Gito made clear that you're not in a position to take a formal position on the project, even after next Tuesday night when they present the project to you. And the reason for that is the board is going to be receiving a very detailed and strategic financial presentation by Hilltop Security. I believe it's on April 9th. And at that time, you'll get detailed information on the financial impact of the project to residents and its impact on the town's debt ceiling. So there's going to be lots of information coming before the board, before you're required to either vote, support, or non-support. And even right up until the special town meeting, you won't be asked as a board to weigh in on your position. And so you'll be getting this Tuesday night, next Tuesday, a week from tonight, kind of a macro overview of their plan. And then on April 9th, a very detailed overview of the financial impact of the project on the residents and on the town financial situation. And then and only then, perhaps will the building committee ask for the select board to weigh in on its position.
Thank you very much. I see Ms. Vice Chair Cavy's hand is raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So two things. First, I'm just going to say that I think that, first of all, I do support this project. I want to see it move forward on a personal level, but also more importantly, for right now, I think that it's important that this question go before town meeting for a vote. And I think we should address this as quickly as possible. Accidents certainly happen. I'm not going to hold anybody accountable for that right now. I think the important thing is that we have a way to remedy it. In the past, there have been issues on the issues that we've been dealing with where the question of opening up a special during an annual has come up. And the six or so years, 6.5 years I've been doing this, we've always found some other way to address those issues. And there is no other way right now. I think this is the way to do it. And I think that it's time to move forward with this. And so the second item I'm going to bring up is in order to start the ball rolling on this, I would like to make a motion to hold a special town meeting within the annual town meeting for 2024 that would take place on May 6th, 2024.
Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Okay, and that's for discussion. Any discussion items?
Scott, you got anything?
I just want to understand that it's non-committal, right? That's what they said, right? It's just to get this out there for the building committee. Is that correct?
This would be in order to have the conversation. We have to do this first before we can even decide whether or not to put the issue on a warrant. We first have to open up the warrant. And so our next meeting, we'd have that discussion, and we would still have another chance if we felt that the project was not ready to go, or for some reason we wanted to not move it forward, advance it. We would do that at our next meeting.
All right, Steve, thanks.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay. The question that I had, this is procedural as well. When we open up the warrant, what if someone wanted to insert a petition article or any other article? Is it restricted only to this one item? I guess that's another way of saying it, a little more direct.
I assume that question was directed to me. So for regular articles, of course, it's the select board's warrant at the end of the day. And so you would have the ability, if any were submitted, to decide whether they're placed on the warrant or not. For petitioned articles, it would require that a certified petition with 100 signatures be placed in front of the board before the warrant closes, which is a week from today. And so it's theoretically possible, but generally the charter requirement and the state law requirement is that a petitioned article be placed on a warrant, not necessarily the one that's coming up in a month and a half. And so we're already very behind the calendar and schedule. And keep in mind, this is one step in a very complicated process. The finance committee's meeting, the standing committees are meeting. This is a financial article. A lot has to happen between now and the actual town meeting. And so I think it would be much more logical that if someone were to raise an issue like that, that it go on the next warrant and not this one. This is a very limited purpose action item that's been requested by the Standing Building Committee.
Very good. Thank you. Going around once again, Vice Chair Cavey, any other comments before on the vote?
No, my position I feel very strongly about, but I also respect that maybe not everybody shares my views, and I'm fine with that. But I think that is not necessarily relevant for this purpose. I think that right now we are only offering ourselves the opportunity to examine whether or not we ought to move forward with this, and so it's I think it's critical that we deliberate, and whatever happens. If the way I want things to go, if it doesn't go that way, then that's fine. But I think it's important that we just have this conversation at our next meeting. So this is the steps we have to do to get there, and so I hope that you guys will agree that we can set ourselves up to have that conversation, which I'm sure is not going to necessarily be a ton of fun, but I think it's going to be really valuable to the community to have us to go through that process.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cavey. The next person on my screen is Mr. Gito. Mr. Gito, any closing comments in this regard?
Yes,
Please.
I agree with every word that Mr. Cavey said. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Next is Mr. Carrara. Do you have any closing comments or ask any questions in this regard?
No, I do not, Madam Chairman. Mr. Davey spelled it out very well.
Thank you very much. Mr. McCrisky?
I go with all the previous speakers in agreeing that we move forward.
Thank you, and I agree as well. So now motion is on the table on the vote. Vice Chair Cavey. You're on mute, Mr. Vice Chair Cavey.
Sorry, I've gotten less used to this. My vote is yes.
Mr. Gito,
Yes.
Mr. McCrisky,
Yes.
Mr. Carrara,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Madam Chair, may I just request that the motion just be read back? I just wanted to just double check that everything was in there that we needed.
Okay.
Sure.
Vice Chair Cavey.
My motion was, actually, you're asking for it to be read back. That would be from Gilda.
Or however it's.
So my motion was to open up a special town meeting, and that the date for that town meeting, special town meeting, be May 6th, 2024.
Okay, and so that's what I believed I heard, but I just wanted to make sure. And so I would request that the board make another motion to open the warrant for that, so
Motion
that it can potentially close in 7 days, which is the charter requirement.
Madam Chair, I move that we open the warrant for the special town meeting to take place on May 6th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor, roll call vote, Vice Chair Cavey.
Yes.
Mr. Gito,
Yes.
Mr. McCrisky,
Yes.
Mr. Carrara,
Yes.
and I vote yes. If there's no further business for the select board this evening, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I made.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold that thought, Vice Chair Cavey.
Yeah, really briefly, I want to get us out of here, but I do want to thank Brian Winter, Mr. Winter, for your help guiding us through this. I know it's for us, it's unusual, so it's really helpful to have your guidance. And John McCrisky, Mr. McCrisky, thank you very much for helping make sure that we get all of the members on this call. I really am grateful for the work that you've done, and obviously, Madam Chair, thank you so much. So, yeah, there's a motion to adjourn. I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Carrara, did you have any comments regarding the adjournment of the meeting?
I want to thank Joe for helping me out.
All right. So we have motion to adjourn and seconded. All in favor was Cavey, Mr. Gito,
Yes.
Mr. McCrisky,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So good evening. I'm sorry.
You didn't call Mr. Carrara.
Oh, okay. Mr. Carrara already voted. He said yes to adjourn.
Yes.
And I vote yes to adjourn. So good evening, everyone, and I'll see you at our next meeting. Thanks again, Attorney Winter, and thank you, Mr. Coulter and Dolores and everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, members. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.